Always love to get our guy Baldy on the show. Now it's been, 2 or 3 weeks under bad circumstances, bad performances from the Arizona Cardinals. But Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, of course, our all-city NFL analyst. Yeah. Baldy, how we doing, my man?
I'm good, guys. Look, I mean, I didn't take that whipping and that beating that the Cardinals did up in Green Bay, but it was a tough one. That was a tough one to watch if you're an analyst, because it looked to me as probably every bit as bad as it probably looked to the team and to the fans.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit off air, Baldy. Like, how do you contextualize what is maybe personnel, what is scheme, what is maybe a troubling sign? I know they beat San Francisco 2 weeks ago, but now you've got 2 blowouts in a matter of a month against Washington and now Green Bay. And, the schedule didn't get any easier. You got Chargers, a very physical team on Monday Night Football. Like, how do you assess this team 6 weeks in? Because I think where we saw a lot of promise with JG and the Arizona Cardinals last year is, we'll put wins aside. They competed. They didn't make mistakes. They made the most of their talent. Now a little bit of expectations now. It almost feels like they're either taking a step back or certainly they're kind of in a status quo.
Well, I mean, you could definitely throw the talent situation out there. I mean, they could generate no pass rush on Jordan Love. He had all day back there to make whatever read he wanted to make. I mean, unless they had, a blitz, and they had a couple. I mean, he still threw touchdown passes to Romeo Doubs, when they came after him. He was still able to elude it and still make a good throw. So I thought pass rush was a big problem. They, for whatever reason, I mean, there were some reasons, but, they had been able to run the ball pretty good in most games, and they weren't able to. They tried all 3 backs, DeMarcado, Benson. He started the second half. James Conner, like they could generate nothing on the ground. They've been pretty good at that when they've gotten into games. And so, look, you fall behind 24-0, with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, you're probably going to abandon the run. And then you lose Marvin Harrison. So I'm making excuses here, but they fell behind 24-0. They did nothing to slow down and stop Green Bay's offense. And so the week before, they did a pretty good job of slowing down and stopping San Francisco. They weren't able to do that. They got out of their game plan because of it. I give them credit. They took it 24-0 and scored a touchdown and got a fumble and field goal and started the third quarter with the field goal, and they got back in the game, and then Green Bay took control of the game.
Darius Robinson, 27th overall pick, started the season on IR, and it's trending towards coming back at some point, but you haven't gotten any snaps from him, a first-round pick. Your 2 premium free agents that you signed, and Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones, both lost for the season, and then pass rusher B.J. Ojulari goes down in training camp. 4 key pieces that you had expectations for on your defensive front 7, not making excuses as far as injuries, but what do you see as a path forward to playing better football up front on the defensive side?
Well, I think they're going to have to, look, they're going to play a very physical team against the Chargers. They play Scott Matlock as, the Baltimore's version of Patrick Ricard. They want to run it. J.K. Dobbins had a good game last week, and they want to control it. But, if you let Justin Herbert do what Jordan Love did last week, I mean, he'll find Ladd McConkey. He'll find all these guys, every good quarterback. And Herbert's as talented as any of them. If you give him time the way the Cardinals gave Jordan Love time, then he's going to probably put up a pretty good number. Now, Harbaugh won't be as pass happy as Matt LaFleur was or can be. It's just not his style. But yet he's going to do everything he can to game plan to win the game. Kamani, Vidal, like whoever's there, like they're going to throw the passes to the young kids that are out there. The 2 rookies right now, 2 young guys. So they don't care who they throw to. If you get time, Justin Herbert's going to find him right now.
Well, the Cards' passing game is not where they admittedly want it to be, and everything looks difficult, I think, is how I can put it. And that's, I think, on the shoulders of Drew Petzing, certainly on Kyler Murray. He's on pace for his lowest through-the-air yardage in his NFL career dating back to 2019. And I think, based on what we've seen the last 2 weeks, the only thing that's consistently working, save for Michael Wilson, is Trey McBride. Am I wrong to say, like, until this gets figured out, can this offense run through a tight end, in your opinion, in today's NFL? Can they go down underneath to big number 85? Because right now, Kyler Murray 8 for 8 against the Packers going to Trey.
That was a strong point of the offense, period. It's not enough. It's not enough because I mean, you can, if I was drawing up a defense and Trey McBride was at the end of the line of scrimmage, I wouldn't let him off the line of scrimmage. I mean, that'd be one way I would combat that. I wouldn't let him get into his route. I mean, you saw, Jair Alexander just quick jab Marvin Harrison out there on a third down and, to completely disrupted the timing of the throw and then defended the pass and, they're punting. And, unfortunately, it was the play I think Marvin got hurt on. But, I mean, you could take guys out. Like just the way Jair, just jabbed Marvin. That's what I would do to McBride. Now, they move him around. You have to move him around to try to free him up right now. But they need more than, Greg Dortch has been a nice player, but, they need more options right now to go to for Kyler. And Kyler's he's got to throw the ball better when those throws are there right now. But, it does hurt that I'm sure they had a big chunk in there for Marvin in the game plan. You lose him on the 8th play of the game. You lose him. I know you have to adjust, but you might have worked on some things all week that you thought you had an advantage of, and all of a sudden that's all gone.
Yeah, you talk about Marvin going out, I think, 8, 11 plays, whatever it was, with the concussion, and he's in the protocol, but it looked just as herky-jerky as it did the previous game where he had just 2 catches, albeit one big one on 4th down. We're sitting here through 6 weeks. What's your evaluation? What's maybe your solution to getting the 4th overall pick more involved in this game plan?
Well, it's bizarre how they're using them. I feel like I'm watching a Big 12 offense. Now, I'm not ridiculing the Big 12, but, Kyler came out of that offense. And honestly, it looks to me like Marvin runs stops and goes. That's what it looks like. I haven't seen like the whole route tree where he's running deep overs and he's running pivot routes and they're putting him in the slot. And, I just don't see a great use of him right now. And what it does is it makes him look kind of stiff. And the other thing is when he's not the primary, he doesn't look like he's that interested. I'm not saying he's not playing hard or anything like that. When he's not the primary receiver, he doesn't look like a threat. And so there's just something off, not necessarily about him, but the way that they're using him. And I don't know, you're going to get basically in this league, you're going to get basically cover 2 or man coverage, some version. Even cover 3 is basically man coverage. I like to see him go out there and attack corners and see if he can win. And if he needs a little help on some rub routes or switch routes and things like that, then, dial those up. But I like to see him not just more involved, but I like to see just from a body standpoint, I want to see him be a bigger threat, even on anything. I don't care what it is. I watched Drake London the other day. He looks like he's a threat, whether he's blocking, whether he's running a clearing route, whatever. He always looks like a threat to me. And they're roughly the same size. They both have, but one looks way more involved in the game. And Drake is getting the ball a whole lot more too. That helps. He's got 38 catches, so they feed him a bunch. But that's why I thought they were going to use Marvin. I thought it was going to be like Atlanta's version of Drake London in Arizona, and I just haven't seen that.
Yeah, we actually charted, Baldy, the 23 games under Drew Petzing. He's got 100-yard wide receiver performance, and it was Marv in week 2. So it's an offensive philosophy right now that they need to tweak. I mean, they've made too big of an investment on Marv to not make this work, because we've argued, if this is really how you want a team build, and Baldy, we talked to you throughout the draft process, maybe you should have taken Joe Alt. If you're so stingent on running the football and working off of play action, and maybe you don't want to empower receivers necessarily, or these kind of receivers, I mean, should they have doubled down, traded down, and taken a tackle? Because right now, 6 games in, it feels like they have this brand new sports car. They don't know how to drive it.
I agree. I actually agree with that. And if you had Paris and Joe right now on the edges, Kyler would probably feel a whole lot better dropping back because the interior is pretty good. So I kind of agree with that. I do also think this. Look, you're trying to grow a fan base in Arizona. Running the ball with James Conner it's good. I mean, it helps you win some games. He's a good player. He's a great person. But honestly, you got to be entertained. This is the entertainment business. The ball's Like I did announce the Baltimore-Cincinnati game the other day. You could question the defenses on both sides, but that was the most entertaining football game I've seen in a long time. Everybody that was in that stadium was on their feet the entire game. Like, there is some entertainment purpose to this whole thing. And Harbaugh fights this in Los Angeles too. They're trying to grow a fan base, and he's out there, with a 315-pound, fullback, and running the ball, and kicking field goals and all that stuff. All right, well, LA is, Showtime was popular for a reason. It entertained every basketball fan in the world. You want a fan base, you want to grow it. You got to put an exciting product out there on the field. And there's some offenses out there that are really exciting to watch, and Washington is one of them. And I think that actually makes a difference in this business right now.
Yeah, isn't that, been around forever? The constant battle is the coaches always just want to make it about football and the game. And then obviously there's the ownership and the fan base that it's an entertainment business. So it is an interesting battle that continues to wage on. We'll get you out on this. As far as this 12-person draft class, we've talked about Marv. We haven't seen Darius. Has anybody stood out to you? I mean, that's when you're sitting at 2 and 4, you're looking for guys that you can move forward with. Has anybody from this 24 draft class stood out to you in the 6 games?
Well, I mean, Trey Benson got a chance a little bit. I mean, I haven't seen much from him, but we've seen a couple runs. I mean, I don't know the pecking order there exactly, but I thought, based on what he did in preseason, I thought he would get more. But sometimes if you're down 24-0, you're not going to run it very much. It really hasn't. Tip Ryman, who's a blocking tight end, he's out there a little bit. When he's active, hadn't really seen much outside. Much production so far from this group.
Yeah, and that's the tough spot, Baldy. You got a team that's 2 and 4 and not winning football games necessarily, and then we can't speak on a rookie class that had 7 picks in the top 90. Are you rebuilding? Are you pushing for the playoffs? What are you doing? We know what we're doing. We're locked in every single week with our guy, All-City NFL analyst, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, you're en route for a NFC, Super Bowl rematch this week?
Super Bowl rematch out there in San Francisco. Kansas City coming off a bye, undefeated. San Francisco needs the game. I mean, obviously, they lost to you a couple weeks ago and rebounded, but they need this game. They can't fall to 3 and 4 right now and still think like they're contenders. This is a big statement game for San Francisco.
Looking forward to it. Mahomes, Purdy, rematch of last year's Super Bowl. This has twice been the Super Bowl. Baldy's going to have all the insight, of course. Check him out, NFL Network. Follow him on Twitter at Baldy NFL. Thanks, Baldy.
Okay. Thanks, guys. You bet. I'll talk to you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.